All right, so today we're going to talk about the Husk Warper. Is it good? You garbage. Oh yeah, this weapon sucks, man. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. It's got, there are neat things about this weapon. One, look how cool it looks. Holy moly, look at this thing. Just an alien murder weapon. Looks like more like a ray gun than a hammer. So anyway, so let's talk about why this weapon fails so hard, and in what way it's actually pretty darn cool. So anyway, guys, if you like what we're doing on this channel, please user support a creator. It helps us out so much. Thank you so much for all the support, guys. You guys are awesome. Rock and roll. Okay, so let's get right into it. So this weapon here is a hardware retro sci-fi weapon. As it says, it's a hefty hammer with a low impact and a high damage. It has the thing that makes this weapon special is the black hole ability. It's a heavy attack that pulls husks towards the hammer before dealing damage. So, kind of cool. Kind of cool. That's the thing I like about this weapon. That's the only thing that I like about this weapon. Is that black hole ability. With this one here, we're going to talk about the perks real quick here so that you guys know exactly how to set this weapon up to achieve terminal power. This is the weapon that I used. Element energy, of course. Attack speed, crit rate, crit damage, armor, and of course, ramping crit rate for the passive. That is the ultimate perk loadout for the maximum punishment that you can do. You know, that really harnesses the full power of the crit, and gives you those gives you that really powerful knockback, powerful control. It's having high crit on this weapon is really a big deal. Now keep in mind that this is a base crit of 15% on this weapon. So if you were to have not went and put a crit rate perk on it, this one would have been a 15% chance, crit chance, and then you would have had the 6 times 5 stacks. So hitting an enemy with this weapon grants 6 critical rating up for 5 seconds, stacks up to 5 times. So if you hit it 5 times, you can actually get 30 crit rate from this from the perk here. So theoretically, you could drop your 30 crit rate off of this weapon and use the passive to achieve those that extra crit, and that would open up your build to do some different things, which could potentially do even more damage and make this weapon an even better weapon. But it depends on what strategy you want to go with. It depends if you want to rely really heavily on a 5-second duration stackable crit tool. There's obvious drawbacks to relying on having to have stacks in order to do your damage. So it's either way, it's really good, and it's kind of your personal preference on which way you want to go with that weapon. Now, looking at the perks here, we're going to go and take a good look, because this one has some attack speed, right? You can put attack speed there, not there, and not there. So you only have the one attack speed. That for me is really limiting on what this weapon can do, and that's a big reason why I don't like this weapon, because the weapon itself, the damage is just lacking so hard. When you're using this weapon, things are not dying fast enough. The weapon is not swinging fast enough. It just doesn't feel good. Having one attack speed on a weapon like this, it's a struggle, man. It's a struggle. When you look at this perk here, durability is garbage, movement speed's okay, life leash is garbage, so and heavy attack efficiency is garbage. So really, it comes down to movement speed or armor. Of course, I'm going to take armor. This one, is pretty much a no-brainer too. What are you going to do? Take impact? No. Heavy attack efficiency? Heck no. So damage or crit rate? Well, obviously I'm going to go with crit rate, because the last one here is crit damage, right? Unless you intend on making it a double movement speed or a double armor weapon, which I'm definitely not going to do. This weapon already struggles enough with getting enough damage dealt without messing around with taking away your crit rate, crit damage. So this is a pretty easy, you know, a no-brainer build for me. The other option, you know, the weapon pretty much built itself. This one, in my mind, you have to take crit rate. If you took crit rate on the other one, then you have to take crit damage on this one. Having no attack speed is not an option, so you have to put attack speed on that one. I know, it bothers me. It bothers me that this weapon forces you into this build when this build doesn't feel good. Now that we've talked about what I don't like, let's talk about what I really do like about this weapon. And that is the Black Hole Heavy Attack. Now, the Black Hole Heavy Attack is a fascinating, interesting ability. I have found that when I'm using this, you have to use it away from the enemies. If you use it when you're in the middle of enemies, it just does not work. Like, it does not work well at all. Whereas if you are looking at a group of enemies that's in front of you, it'll pull the whole enemy into a clump in front of you where you can then hit them, just boom, boom, boom. Whereas if you see enemies that are kind of fanning around you and you pull them in, it tends not to pull very hard, and then you end up with enemies that are all around you doing damage to you and getting you killed. So there are some definite strategies and tactics behind the use of the Black Hole ability, which I like. I like strategy. I like tactics. I like to know that my ability and, you know, gameplay sense is going to, you know, differentiate me from other people just because of my experience. You know, having weapons that have tactical elements to them gives me a sense of happiness, for sure. So the Black Hole really does cater to my my sense of tactics, and it's really cool. Like once I got used to the strengths and weaknesses of the Black Hole ability, I found myself really using it effectively, pulling all the enemies in and just smashing them down really, really hard. And it was really fun. So I had an absolute blast using the Black Hole. Although, let's be honest, I'm never going to use this weapon again. Once this weapon breaks, that'll be the last time I use it. I'm not a fan. I don't find it useful. It's an interesting novelty weapon, but that's about it. Yeah, not impressed. Anyway, let's talk about the commander. The commander that I used when using this weapon was just an absolute melee powerhouse. Maybe that's why I'm not a huge fan of the attack speed on this weapon, because it really doesn't utilize its full potential. With Saurian Claws, this is Paleo Luna, rocking the Saurian Claw ability, giving her 16.5% of her current health added to the melee weapon damage. So if you have massive health, or even if you have normal health, honestly, it doesn't really matter. The amount of damage you get for having full health is just absolutely mind-blowing. It's so powerful. It'll just rock your world. But that also means that because this skill can actually cause your weapon to do many times more damage than the actual weapon can do. You're going to get more damage from the commander than you are from the weapon itself, meaning attack speed is super important, because the faster it attacks, the more times you're going to utilize this perk here with the character, with the weapon. So the character, the hero, is giving you more damage than the weapon itself is getting, making it like, oh, why did I even bother taking all this crit rate and crit damage, when if I would have just had more swing more times, I would have got all my damage from here. So that just amplifies, why this weapon does not work, because it's too slow. And the best melee character in the game thrives on fast, attacking really fast, to utilize her commander perk to its fullest. Now, I'm running with Dim Mac, because why wouldn't you want infinite shields? Every time you kill something with a melee attack, you're going to trigger your Shadow Stance. And the Shadow Stance is going to give you 60% or 60 more armor and 15% more movement speed for 4 seconds. So during those 4 seconds, your Shadow Stance regenerates 2.7% of your shield per second, times how many ninjas you have in your support squad. And I have 3 ninjas, so ninja, and a ninja. Therefore, I'm getting 2.7 times 3, which is 6, 7, 8, 8.1. 8.1% shield regeneration per second for 4 seconds, which refreshes if you just continually keep on killing your enemies. So amazing ability. We got the brand new Edie, the Must Protect. He's rocking the melee weapon energy damage, super perk. So every time you get a crit, you add 32% of your current shield to your damage. Super, super sick. This guy's hilarious. He's amazing. So that's where the crit really comes in handy, is if you have a full shield and you have the crit built into that weapon anyway. This guy here kind of nails it on home and reinforces that damage. The damage is really high if your shields is full, and of course if your shields gets whittled away, then your damage is non-existent. So it's a really, really good ability, especially when teamed up with Dimmac, to keep your shields at max all the time. Legendary Blade is of course Swordmaster Ken, the king. Now that's what I would use for sword damage, but for like a hammer, you actually want to go to your hardware, and you want to grab your hardware damage character. Now for me, the hardware crit rate would be a really, really good option, but if you're doing that, then you really don't want to build crit rate into the weapon itself. So this is where you come down to whether to use crit rate or not to use crit rate on the weapon. Now if you don't use crit rate, then you can go with that extra damage perk and deal a little bit more damage and try to flesh out your build a little bit more. Or you can go with actuated attacks, which is Tank Penny. She gives you the extra 17% hardware damage. So you have some options in your perk loadout itself. You have the 17% extra hardware damage. You have your assassination, which gives you 22.5% bonus damage after you've attacked for your 5th time. Each time you get 4.5 stacking up to 22.5% bonus damage. You got your survivalist from Survivalist Jonesy to actually heal your health every second for 3 seconds, and it refreshes if you keep getting kills. So every 3 seconds you can regenerate about 10% of your health, which is pretty powerful, especially since it's behind a regenerating shield that's constantly protecting you. Corrosive Strikes, of course, is Deadly Blade Crash. This is your Mist Monster Killer. Melee critical hits apply 30% snare, slowing them down, and 30% affliction that takes every second for 3 seconds. So awesome, massive damage bonus to take down Mist Monsters and bosses. So that's your build right there. This one here is you want to pick. I'm not really sure. Honestly, I'm not sure which one people are going to like more. Whether they're going to like the hardware damage, just go with the flat 17%, or whether they're going to want to go with the the crit rate, and then decide to take the crit rate off of the weapon and just focus on 15% base plus the character crit plus the passive crit. So there are some options and some strategies behind this weapon to achieve your maximum damage, but ultimately the lack of attack speed cripples this weapon and really makes it not viable for me. No matter what build you go with, it's going to feel lackluster compared to better weapons. So anyway, guys, thank you for all the support on Twitch and on YouTube. Thank you for being a part of the VASH Core, guys. We stream all day, every day, over 18 hours a day, 81-hour marathons on the weekends. Save the world all day, every day, guys. Come and hang out with us on Twitch. Be a part of the VASH Core. And thank you so much for all the support, guys. Thank you for helping us grow. Thank you for helping us get bigger viewer counts on both platforms. You guys are the best. Thank you. Together we are strong. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and leave a thumbs up. Comment down below and let me know what you think about the hammer. This hammer really kind of let me down. I had high expectations for this, and it really didn't live up to my expectations or my hopes. Given how amazing the atomic light expander was, I found the Husk warper really lackluster. But I would like to see if other people had different experiences, because there's a lot of different strategies that you can use with this weapon, a lot of different characters that you can use with this weapon, and maybe somebody came up with something that I didn't think of. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys have discovered and what you guys' opinions are, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next video.